What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you the Mike Hardiman 2-dot deck that I played for the UniVersus Campus Championship Champs versus the World. If you like this profile, make sure that, one, you check out the matches that Mike got to play in, as well as the other profiles for this Campus Championship. You can find them on a playlist out here on the channel. So, let's jump into the profile. All right, so this is Mike Hardiman. This deck, man, this deck was a blast. If you haven't seen one of my deck profiles before, basically, instead of just reading off the cards verbatim, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be telling you what the deck wants to do, how the deck wants to operate, and some small combos inside of the deck, so that if you decide to put the deck together, you kind of know how to play it. So what does Mike want to do? This Mike deck was built under All, the first symbol that people wanted to brainstorm with him because of a card called Scorch, which we will get to, and that is exactly what this deck is doing. This deck is a one-track-minded deck, a very new player-friendly deck because it does one thing. It wants to build as many foundations as possible on our turn so that we can draw as many cards as possible, and then whenever I feel like pumping it, I can commit and give my attack plus X plus X. X equals the number of cards that I've added. There was at one point where I got to add like 8 or 9 cards. That means I get to draw 9 cards off of Scorch and then give that +9/+9 and just absolutely mollywop them. Very, very good, very, very good stuff. Very, very fun stuff. The deck's a little bad at blocking and defense. It has no defense cards. It has no disruption cards. Every single card that we play in the deck is a gas, go, try and kill you card. So with that said, let's jump into the profile. So first and foremost, onto the attacks. We're playing for reduction. This card is in here specifically because it says all my other attacks become a little bit bigger. I want to make sure that if I smack you with a card, it is very much going to go through. It's like a little baby Mike Hardiman just sitting in the card pool. We have plenty of foundations that build down, and so having it just sit in the card pool is not really relevant to the turn, especially not a turn that matters. And it just lets, honestly, it gives me a little more speed so that my big beefy attacks can go through. Very, very good card, very, very aggressive card. And I guess it's the only one of the only disrupted cards in the deck, just because it's sitting here with a 1-may block with Breaker too. But did we ever want to block with it? No, we never got the block anything. All of our cards were always committed. So onto the main card of the deck, Scorch. Scorch says, enhance, draw a card for every foundation that's been added to your staging area. So at the absolute least, we're going to be drawing 1 card off of this with my Hardiman. So it replaces itself. It is a 2-check, which is a bit scary, but it's a 4-high, 4/7 that draws you a card, and Mike gets to replace a resource. Very, very good stuff. This card can draw you sometimes like 9 cards. It's pretty nutty. Oh, next we're playing 3 Randos Spirit Gun. This card was really, really fun inside of the deck, and I'd honestly pop it up to a 4 of if I played the deck again. And this card's main ability that we wanted to play is I can play my once per turn abilities on my character again. So Mike Hardiman got to take and get rid of a foundation, probably a committed or a face down one, and then replace it with a fresh resource. And I only got to do that once. Well, with Rando Spirit Gun, and inside of a turn, I get to do that a second time. Very, very good stuff, especially with the foundation lineup that we're running. My next aggressive foundation is 3 Nutcracker. I did pop it down to a 3 of just due to the fact that I wanted to play a couple more options. The only 4 ofs that are in the deck are the 4 reduction, the 4 power Scorch Wheel. Wow, I tried to sell Power Cycle. That is not the name of the card. It's 4 Scorch Wheel. And so triple Nutcracker, it should have been a 4 of. This card says draw a card for free. This card says get another +4 damage. And we can accidentally add stuff down depending on what's going on. We are playing triple Power Flip. This card should not have been inside of the deck. This card should have been replaced with something else. The main card that I can think of is Let's Cut Loose. My apologies. This card should not have been here. It should have been another foundation. It should have been literally any other foundation inside of the game. Probably something with an aggressive ability, something to pump damage in order to push through. There's a vicious foundation that says discard a card +2 damage. That easily could have been this card, and I would not have batted an eye. And then my last card is for Mayfa's Assault. Actually, you know what you could do with the Power Flip instead if you really wanted to play more orange cards, which the deck does not need, is you could take all these 3 ofs that I played and pop them back up to 4 ofs and be totally content. We're playing 3 Mayfa's Assault, and this card is a consistency card. It is just enhance, add the top card of my discard pile to my hand. So fun fact, whenever you discard any number of multiple cards in an enhanced step, like Mike says, discard the top 4 cards, you get to place the order. So if I discarded these 3 cards, I could choose the order in which they were placed on top of my discard pile. So if I want the Petrol Power, I put it on top when I finish resolving Mike. If I wanted the Burning Revenge on top, I put it on top. It's my choice as the player. Hope I didn't mess up where everybody was inside of this. Yeah. Okay, we're good. All right. Moving on. Going on to the assets and the actions. We are playing for Let's Cut Loose. This card says two things. Number one, either I pull an attack from a discard pile to my hand, which is very, very good, or if I absolutely need to, I can take and build a foundation from my card pool to my staging area. Really, really strong whenever I add stuff in with the Nutcracker. I'll add in a very useful card with Nutcracker. I'll build it down with Let's Cut Loose, and then I'll pop off a little more as another card that I've added to Mike. You're definitely going to need to dive whenever you play this deck. Up next, we're playing 4 Transform. This is a bit of an old card, another flow card. I guess you could consider all of this flow or aggro. I wasn't really describing it just because of how the deck wants to work. But this card says pick up a slam, and the only 2 slams that we're playing is either Nutcracker or Mayfist Assault. Both of those are slams. So you form on transforms, declare add a slam attack with a print difficulty of 4 or less from a discard pile to my hand, which both Mayfist Assault and Nutcracker are. Whenever you play that named card, transform gets built down in your staging area and counts towards Mike's count for the commit for draw two. And so you can transform Nutcracker, and then just one, pile on massive damage, pick up attacks from your discard pile, things that you're not supposed to be able to do, and then just build free foundations. Really, really strong stuff. It is a 4-check, so you got to be careful of that, especially with how attack heavy our deck is. Up next, we're playing Double Black Bear Diner. This card is a little slow inside of our deck, but if we can get it off, it is hella value. What this card says is I remove a foundation from either side of the board and then put it back into the staging area. That does count for Mike because I put it back in. So that is another card that I've added to my staging area. And so if I have an ability that says, I don't know, form, commit, do a cool thing. I'll form, commit, play my cool ability, play an attack, and then flash that card back out. Whenever it gets flashed out and put back, it comes back in readied. And so I just get to reuse that form ability inside of attacks. Or the other thing you can do is you can actually use it defensively. There was a time where my opponent was sitting with a card that stopped my Scorch Wheel draw sitting inside of their card pool. And so as my first enhance, I got to use the enhance on Black Bear Diner, and I removed that card from their staging area, and then I got to draw my Scorch Wheel without feeling bad. On to the aggressive cards. We are playing for Power Cycle. The reason this card is an aggressive card is because it does one thing and one thing only. It puts reduction into my card pool. It can put another foundation into the card pool, and we can drop it down with Let's Cut Loose, but that's not nearly as good as just tossing reduction in. And it gives you a really good target with Mike because it commit and flips. So I've got this face down committed foundation inside of my staging area. What better target to get rid of with Mike than a face down committed foundation? And then whenever we discard with Mike, we'll build it in back ready. So just a really, really good aggressive foundation. The other good aggressive foundation that we're playing inside of the deck is one Hi-Fi Stereo. This says gender male, so Mike's a guy. Response, your turn, commit. After a foundation's added to your staging area, your opponent discards a card. So if they were holding all these blocks because you're going to be playing out a really big string, well, now they have one less block to block with. Now that I've added in a card, I can take and use Mike and then get rid of my committed foundation and add it in back ready. Very similar to the thought process behind Hi-Fi Stereo, excuse me. Up next, we're playing for Folktale Storyteller, and you're going, Tam, hold up. You pause the video, and you're ready to write a really mean comment to me. Tam, this card does not have the all symbol. Buddy, you're absolutely right. And sometimes I will mess you up, but the value that we get off of Folktale Storyteller is so insane that I felt like I had to off symbol. It is the only good or earth only card inside of the deck. Everything else has the all symbol. And so you just have to make sure that your card pool is clear. It is the first card that you play on your turn and build down, and then you discard cards off the top of your deck. Who cares about them? We didn't need them. And then we've built down. I've now increased my we'll call it my draw counter off of Mike. This is just, hey, I'll build 2 free foundations, make sure I don't fail my bad checks, and then it's just more value later. The rest of the deck is all flow just because of how Mike wants to work. We are playing for True Identity, which is like the number one key piece to the deck. So as I said before, the form commit cool ability. So I'll form commit with True Identity. I will get +1 to play my attacks for the rest of the turn. Play my cool attack to get +1 to the check rad. I'll then Mike Hardiman, remove the True Identity from the game, discard the top 4 cards of my deck, find a True Identity, and then play it back in. now that I've done this, I'll form again. I'll use Black Bear Diner. I'll remove it from the game and bring it back in. My next attack, I'll form. So now I've got +3 to my check every time that I play an attack. This means that I'm going to kill you. This card, if I can get 2 or 3 of these to pop off on inside of a singular turn, I am going to win the game that turn because of how much I can draw my deck with Scorch Wheel and because of how heavy my attacks hit for. On average, they do about 8 damage. And so not including all of these that I've added, and I'll make one of my little baby attacks like my Mavis Assault to do +13/+13 with Mike. It's just really, really strong stuff, and this is one of the main offenders to make the deck run. Up next, we're playing a little small engine inside of the deck of 4 Stolen Sword. This card says reveal a weapon card from my hand I can take, and the next time I play a weapon foundation, it will build into my staging area. And so I'm playing 4 Stolen Sword in order to enable that, as well as the 4 of the weapon foundation, the OG Mechanical Ninja. This card just says response card pool after I play it. My next check to play a weapon card gets +2. And so with it inside of my card pool, I can respond with Mecha OG and then, or excuse me, I can Stolen Sword and then play the Mecha OG and then bring it down. Or if I'm trying to build out a turn, I can play the Mecha OG, say my next weapon card gets +2 to my check, gets +2 to my check, and then play another one. Look at all the safety building. Even though I'm playing those 2 checks, they are no longer 2 checks because of OG. And the last thing is, this does give a little bit of speed, a little bit of damage, which is very good, as well as fill up my discard pile for my Let's Cut Loose Place. Up next, we're playing 4 Burning Revenge. The best thing to do with this card, honestly, is just add it into the card pool with Nutcracker to draw your card and then build it face down committed. Oh, look what a beautiful face down committed target for Mike Hardiman. I'll remove it from the game and then find a True Identity or something with some relevant text like OG Mecha Ninja or something. Just really, really good stuff. Gives it damage. It gives another draw counter on Mike. Just, once again, we're just trying to race card and kill people. We're playing 4 Petrol Power. After it's played and I have 3 more foundations, it will build down to my staging area. What's more to ask for? Just more counters. And then my last card is for Eviscerate. Eviscerate is the same thing as Petrol Power, but it only moves if my opponent has more face downs than me. So my goal is, with Mike, I want to be removing these face downs. If you notice, not very much of my stuff wants to flip for cost. The only flips that I have are the one that we just talked about, Burning Revenge, and the Power Cycle. Both of these cards flip, and I just want to instantly get rid of them. A lot of other cards inside of other people's decks want to flip. I don't even want to respond and flip with my own Eviscerate. I don't want that, unless that response flip is to flip and then instantly remove it with my Hardiman to replace it with a different face-up foundation, so that I can stay ahead of them so that my Eviscerates are active. And then my last card in the deck is A Sun's Love. It says first form commit, draw an additional card. Why wouldn't I want it to be an 8-hander whenever I'm trying to draw my entire deck? It's just a little more draw power. The big thing about A Sun's Love is I never got the first form to go off. Does it need to be in the deck? Nah, I don't think so. Whenever I won the game, it was not because I drew 1 extra card. It was because I drew 8 extra cards off of Scorch Wheel. Or I hit them with the biggest rando spirit gun possible. I'll commit Mike for +12/+12. And then give it another 2, and then EX2, and then powerful 4. All right, and so there it is, my Mike Hardiman 2-dot deck under all. This deck was a blast to play. I will say it is incredibly, incredibly fragile. A riot? Yes. Bad? Possibly. That's for you to decide whenever you decide to put it together. So if you like this profile, like I said at the top, make sure you check out all the matches that Mike got to play, as well as the profiles that we recorded for the rest of the Campus Championship here. And if you want to join us live, go out to twitch.tv/TCGUniversity on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock as we record all of these profiles live and we interact with the chat and have a good old time with the community. And my very last thing is go out to patreon.com/TCGUniversity, subscribe out there at the $1 level, get access to the Discord. Maybe you've got a cool Mike deck that you want to talk about. Me and the other rest of the community would absolutely love to conversate with you about it. So, from all of us here at TCGU, thank you very much for watching and stay learned.